January 12th, 2080 experienced a massive earthquake that obliterated roughly about 250,000 lives. Right before I was getting dropped, our car got into an accident. An accident that delayed my arrival to my house. The earth started shaking and everything just started going upside down. All you hear is screaming, they're yelling, and that happened to me. And I'm looking at that and it just went back to its own place. I hear some people just running away and somebody yelling, "It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world." My life changed forever then, because that's when I truly felt I was given a second chance at life.
Thank you to our season sponsor, Mary's Alfajores. They are melt-in-your-mouth sweet treats. Alfajores are a South American traditional cultural pastry treat filled with manjar, a thick, creamy caramel made from milk and sugar spread, sandwiched by two delicious, soft and delicate cookies that in combination melt in your mouth. If you're looking to impress with some cultural variety in your dessert tray, reach out to Mary's Alfajores as they service the Westchester, Fairfield County area and are readily available for catered events. You can reach Mary's Alfajores on Instagram at Mary's Alfajores. Mary's Alfajores, crafted with love, inspired by tradition. Hi everyone, I am Esther, and welcome to the From the Ground Up with Esther podcast, a podcast about growth, resilience, faith, and building a life with intention. This space is for anyone who's starting over, rebuilding, or taking the next step, one story and one lesson at a time. Let's get into the conversation.
Going, Esther?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me here.
This is fun. It's my friend Gillary, so I'm excited to have him here. And welcome, everybody.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. Let me talk to you a little bit about my friend Gillary. You guys know I have been meeting a lot of people, and I recently celebrated the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. So it's been a great journey, and I met Gillary, I guess it's going to be the same, like about a year ago now, right?
Yeah, about a year now.
A year ago. And I met him again through the speaker school, the Warm Heart Life community.
That is right.
He has an amazing story. And if you are someone that's into self-development, that likes to get together, that likes to have community, Gillary is the person you need to connect with. So today we're going to learn a little bit more about him and what he does and his journey. So I'm excited for you guys to get to meet him. So Gillary, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Esther, thank you so much for having me here. It's such a pleasure to be here. We got a really cool setup and I'm just excited. And honestly, what I probably would like people to just get to know a little bit more about is my journey being here in the US and more about what we're looking forward to do and the impact. But most importantly, just being a great human, So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so I have his what's it called, introduction. I usually don't, I think I've only done it a couple times. I usually let my guests introduce themselves because they know better. They can explain more of who they are. But I do have his here, so I will read it so people get a little glimpse of who you are. So Guelory Brutus is an author, speaker, and founder of Build Your Own Narrative, a personal growth platform dedicated to helping people live with greater clarity, purpose, and alignment. His work empowers individuals to examine the stories that have shaped their lives, challenge limiting beliefs, and intentionally create a future that reflects who they are becoming. After immigrating to the United States from Haiti following the devastating 2010 earthquake, Gillory's journey has fueled a passion for helping others discover hope and purpose through life transitions. Whether he's leading workshops, facilitating narrative alignment cohorts, hosting community conversations, or speaking from the stage, his mission remains the same: to help people move beyond survival and begin living with intention. Through storytelling, thoughtful reflection, and practical action, Guelory encourages others to embrace their experiences, own their voices, and build a narrative that aligns with their values, vision, and calling. Wow.
Wow. That was deep.
Yeah, that was deep. That's a lot of good stuff. And so, the name of the podcast is called From the Ground Up with Esther. So everybody, you know that. And I think this is a good From the Ground Up story because I would like for you to take us back to who was Gillary before coming to the United States. And bring us to that transition.
Yeah. First of all, just in hindsight, as you were reading the introduction, I was like, oh my God. Like, looking back at it and just thinking about the journey, you don't really realize a lot of times what you end up achieving and how you go about it. And if I was to tell you, my 5-year-old self probably would not be able to tell you that I'd be sitting with you right now. But what I can tell you is ever since I was 5 years old, all I could remember was asking myself a lot of existential questions. Now, granted, I could barely really even remember what those conversations and thoughts were, but I do know there were plenty of times I would come to my mom and I would say, what's my purpose? Why am I here? And I would have all these questions that I would be wondering about because I could remember her having such a hard time giving birth to me and her telling me the stories over and over again in some way where it was like, I used to think it was to make me feel bad because she would probably say that I was stubborn when I was younger. I probably still am. But part of it was because ever since then, I was always curious. I was a child that wanted to learn about my surroundings, the world around me, the people. And I just wanted to know how things worked and what is it that God was asking from me. I know I was young, but yet what I do know is I was born in also particularly in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And around that time, it was very difficult for a lot of Haitians. This was back in 96. I'm dating myself here, but I was raised in a household full of Christians, full of passionate individuals. And quite literally, when it came to my mom giving birth to me, she was surrounded by several people that were praying over her before the doctors because she was having such difficulty. So that played a big part for me in this search to eventually starting to ask those questions. I had the opportunity to go to private school and had gotten to receive early education there. All was fueled all on Christian values and practices, specifically within the Catholic Church. And so I was just wanting to have fun and also just trying to make friends and build community because I was also the only child. So all I can remember, there were times where we'd play outside and trying to grab coconut from the coconut trees and mangoes. And we had a lot of great memories. There were also some challenging ones, but I'm super grateful that I've had a beautiful childhood in Haiti.
That's beautiful that you have those good memories.
Yeah.
And to hear that faith was always instilling in you, that's also beautiful because I can see that now that you're a grown man, I can see how it's rooted in you and everything that you do. So that is beautiful to see. And your introduction talks about the Haiti earthquake. Will you share with us a little bit of that and how that has helped you to build everything that you're doing?
Yeah. Well, continuing upon the statement around my faith, right? So now, again, at 5, I was asking these existential questions. And as a teenager, once I started to begin to know who I was becoming, the next step in my discovery was starting to search for my calling. And I don't know, at such a young age, I don't know why I had such a desire to ask God what my calling and purpose was. But I was also just trying to learn about the world a different way. And we had just gotten to be learning about natural disasters. I'm talking about the week of. So on January 12, 2010, Haiti experienced a massive earthquake that obliterated roughly about 250,000 lives. And I remember that day very vividly, very clearly. And as I was mentioning in school, we were learning more about natural disasters. That's when I first even understood what tsunami was and even earthquakes at the time. And so, gracefully, my school, we had what we called abonnement, which is basically an equivalent of having school bus here, but the only thing is it was private. So I lived very far, and that particular day was a very strange day. I remember waking up, my mom had a dream that she had shared with me. And if there's anything you need to know about the Haitian culture, especially Haitian moms, they're always having dreams. And I'm sure you probably can relate.
I can relate. Yeah.
Right. So it's like a thing with Latin American culture, and especially also in the Caribbean. And she had a dream that morning, and she felt like she lost something though. It was like a shoe of hers. And she told me the dream, and I remember just being confused by it. I'm like, man, there's always a dream for something. But what was interesting is I felt compelled to listen to her a little bit. I was just learning how to use cell phones, which back then were the Nokia phones. We didn't really have the smartphones nowadays, but um, and I texted her an emoji of a coffee during lunch. I'll tell you what that for me then, just that small gesture was a way of communicating with her and letting her know that I was thinking of her all as we were learning about all these things. And long story short, we're getting ready after the day of a full day after in the evening, around 4 o'clock, really in the afternoon, I'd say. I'm heading my way home, and I was about to be the second to last kid to be dropped. And right before I was getting dropped, our car got into an accident. An accident that delayed my arrival to my house, something in which typically would allow the drivers to just simply discuss amongst one another, and they'd argue, and there's not always police officers being involved. And as they spent that time, that gave us the opportunity to not get home really earlier, which then literally not even 2 minutes after the earthquake, after the incident happened, the earth started shaking and everything just started going upside down. All you hear is screaming. I mean, it happened so fast. And I remember I was sitting in the front of the vehicle at one point, and there's these tall story buildings, probably about 7 stories tall. And I'm looking at it, and it felt like as if they were about to fall on me. Like I'm talking about like in the movies, you ever see when the people are trying to run away, but instead they stand there and they're like, ah, they're yelling. And that just happened to me. And I'm looking at that, and it just went back to its own place. I mean, like I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, and a big explosion happened about a mile away. You hear gas station. I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't know it was a gas station. I thought it was a bomb of some sort. I thought there was some form of craziness. Obviously, it was happening all at once. And I hear some people just running away and somebody yelling, "It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world." At least it was the end of our world. So long story short, we lost all cell towers, and I no longer communicate back to my mom. I'm thinking, I mean, at that point, I thought my mom lost her life because she had just came from a surgery that week. So it was really crazy leading up to it. There were so many instances and events happening, but all I could tell you is my life changed forever then, because that's when I truly felt I was given a second chance at life.
Wow. So your family members were okay, or do you suffer any losses?
Unfortunately, we did lose somebody. So going back to that dream that I was telling you about,
Yeah.
we had a family friend that used to live with us at the house, and that would help my mom a lot. And she passed. I honestly thought my mom was the one who was going to pass just because of her condition at the time. And she
Yeah.
happened to be the one that unfortunately did pass. But gracefully, no one else in our immediate family passed. but my house was collapsed. I mean, I'm talking about like you can walk on top of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that, it's very touching because recently we've seen the earthquakes in Venezuela,
Mm-hmm.
which it's very sad and everything that's happening there. So, this topic makes me think of that as well and how it just changes your lives forever.
Absolutely. I mean, it was definitely hard to witness the earthquakes that were happening in Venezuela because it just brought me back to
Yeah.
those memories. And rest in peace to all the lives who has
Hmm.
passed. And I know how hard it must be for these families. And I pray that they know that in these times they're not
Hmm.
alone because you will really feel as if
Yeah.
like your whole world is
Hmm.
upside down.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was 13 at the time.
13. Oh, wow.
13. So from 5 years old, asking the existential question
Yeah.
to 13 years old, where my life completely switched upside down, and
Hmm.
I had to then now pursue those questions and trying to figure out that purpose
Yeah.
actively, you know?
Yeah. So that brings me now to building your own narrative, because that's your company, correct?
Yeah, that is true. So all of that foundation of that story is kind of like the hero's
Hmm.
journey, right? And I think you brought it up earlier, but what that did, it had basically give life for me to start being more active on, okay, what does this mean now? How am I going to use this? Now, really all I cared for at that point was having a home, which since my home was destroyed,
Yeah.
yet what ended up happening as a result, um, which was to seek comfort and shelter outside of Haiti because once the earthquake happened, we didn't know what we are gonna be doing.
Hmm.
My dad was already living here in the U.S., so it was in the process of trying to figure out ways of bringing me here to
Hmm.
help support me, especially with everything that was going on. And eventually, a year later, we were fortunate enough the papers had gone through, and I was able to come here for a better chance at life. And that immediately brought me to high school. I went to Stanford High School here in Connecticut. And just after the first 3 years, went straight to college.
Hmm.
And that's really where the quest of Build Your Own Narrative was being built because I ended up spending about 7 years in school for something in which I felt as if was going to become the foundation of what Build Your Own Narrative is now today, but I couldn't really fully see it because each year that I was in school, I felt like I was learning a life lesson because I was going for a major that I didn't even like.
Mm.
I wanted to become a computer scientist, but I had never seen anybody that looked like me that had been a computer scientist. So one of the things I used to do is go around campus and trying to look for a representation of some sort. And whom I used to be inspired by was Steve Jobs because
Mm.
he had revolutionized the world. He had made some impact in some capacity that really made an advancement for humanity. Now, granted, there's a lot of things we can talk about that probably if you read his biography afterwards, because I ended up finding out he didn't even study computer science. And I was like, oh my God. But it was
That's
just
funny.
interesting because I was like, wait, what?
Uh-huh.
But I thought software engineering was the way to go because if you grew up in the Caribbean culture, also you learn to either become an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer.
Mm.
That's the path that our parents knew in terms of making it. And I was also trying to please my parents. I was
Mhm.
trying to figure out a way to make them feel proud. But as much as I love technology, I didn't really enjoy the aspect of coding all the time.
Yeah.
Now it's funny, I sit behind the computer all day and I'm actually working on some things that are pretty much involved with artificial intelligence. But what ended up happening was I kept looking for opportunities to understand what that purpose was in a way where I would have conversations with people, learning about their background and their stories. And after trying to get into the computer science and engineering program at the University of Connecticut, I kept failing and failing over and over again. And I was like, damn,
Mhm.
what's going on? And although I knew it wasn't what I was supposed to do, but it wasn't until my junior year when I had the opportunity to work for a couple software companies, 2 startup companies through an internship program. And that completely opened the trajectory for me to start understanding what even the word entrepreneurship was, just to even understand the concept of building a business, because they were also teaching us about professional development and how do you put together a business, all while we working for these companies. So we had a cohort of interns that would compete against each other like we were as if we were going to be in Shark Tank. And towards the end of the program, my team won, and it was like a big thing. We got published on the Hartford Current, and that gave me an idea. Wait a minute, there's people that are making the impact differently. So because I would go into these meetings with them and see how they were talking about raising money, raising capital, how they were going to make an impact, and ways in which that they could continuously foster different things. And that's when it started to open my mind, because I said, wait a minute, I think everyone's here is putting together a story in which that they can use to help other people. And the startup companies I was working with wanted to help make an impact, where they were trying to solve certain problems, and which that was going to make a difference in other people's lives. And that's when I started to really follow entrepreneurship and business, to eventually, towards the end of my career in college, academic career in college, I was listening to this podcast, and this guy by the name of John Henry, if you haven't seen him, pretty cool dude. He talks a lot about business, venture capital, and all that. And he said something, because at that point, I was going back and forth on where I was, especially after not being able to get into the engineering program, where I had to come back from Storrs to Stanford. And that's when it really clicked, because he said, everyone's building their own story. Everyone's really writing their own narrative. And I remember sitting in my room and I was like, oh my God, that's what I've been doing this whole time. I've been trying to figure out a way to do something, and I wasn't having as much success in the process nor in the journey trying to get into the school. But really deep down, what it was, I was still looking for my purpose. I was still trying to figure out how I was going to allow God to use me to be able to make an impact, because I felt that I was given such a strong chance at life. Just to even go to school was because of my grades in high school, where I had scholarships and I didn't want to let anybody down. And I felt like I was doing that. And so that's where Build Your Own Narrative was born. And it eventually became what it is now, and to the point where we can help other people.
Yeah. So, okay. I like the background story, and this is what this podcast and episode is about: learning more about you, your brand, how you're helping others through your company now that is Build Your Own Narrative. And can you go a little bit more into that? How is it that you allow people to build their own narratives? What do you provide for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so once I discovered that's what I was doing, it took me about an additional couple years to start figuring out what I wanted to do with it. And after graduation, I took a trip to Silicon Valley, because that was my dream. I wanted to see it for myself. That trip inspired me because it was all during COVID, and I had been started to work in finance, and everything was going crazy. I said, what can I do? How can I provide services for people? Now that I've found this idea, what is it that can really make an impact? Well, what was most important then to me was social media marketing. And that's one of the ways I saw that people were able to tell and share their stories, because when I went to Silicon Valley, I connected with a lot of other people, and they started to be back in the time when people would be using those, what do you call it? It's almost silly now, but it was like before content creation, what it is now, you had a selfie stick.
Yeah.
Right? So I would see people walking around with the selfie stick.
I haven't used that.
Right? Think about that. That was really towards the end of 2018, 2019, but still in 2020, 2021, people had it, and I saw so many people over there, and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? They're sharing their stories, and they're using social media to do that. So, which eventually started evolving into the services I would provide to people. So I started helping out nonprofits and trying to help them grow their social media platforms. I started to be able to be more involved in helping them make a much bigger presence. I started to help them in getting to fundraise, um, especially through events. I was starting in early because I started to then just trying to get involved into this space. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity to meet a very good friend, Brendan, whom basically helped me expose myself to different realms and seeing how other people were trying to use their ideas to help provide for others. And what I discovered was when we took a trip down to Miami and I saw the likes of, my God, we saw Floyd Mayweather talking about his story. And one thing I noticed, and I had known that about media, but I hadn't realized how the media can also portray a story about you when you don't necessarily have control over that story yourself. Like, even right now, someone could be watching the clip or listening back to it and they're forming their own opinions. Now, let's say if this was picked up by a news outlet, and some people could say, oh, here's that story that was uncovered in a way where they then now could portray that in their own form. So that's when the whole idea of building narrative really started to crystallize, because I witnessed Floyd Mayweather talking about dedication, hard work. Dedication, hard work. I'm a one-man army. No one can stop me. I got God on my side. And when he said those words, I was like, wait a minute, that's not the same guy that's portrayed on the media. That's not the same guy that gets the same controversial things that are going on around him. Now, granted, he has his own things going on, and sometimes it can be braggadocious in his own rights. But what that did, it made me realize that we need to be able to create a containment to be able to have our stories to be told. And how are we going to do that? So it started to evolve from social media marketing to be able to then now storytelling to speaking, now where it started with learning from the people like our great friend Brendan on how to share our message online and how to speak in front of other people and how to really put it all together. But what that did for me and the way in which I wanted to help other people was to also give them a platform to do that, right? So then I started hosting a series of events myself where I would invite other people to speak and talk about their stories and be able to talk about what it is that they're doing and how they want to help impact other people. And that continued to evolve to the point where I had the opportunity to start building the containment to the form of a book, when I got the chance to work with another great friend of ours that helped me to put the whole story of the life lessons, where I was starting to build a framework around it. And that made a even bigger impact for me because we had the opportunity to start writing the book. And he started to help me, Carl Michelle, shout out to Carl Michelle. And then that made me realize, wait a minute, okay, now I have the framework. It's in the form of that's the first real product, because all of the time it was the services to consultation for social media and bringing people up and events so they can share their stories. It still was being built until the book was finally put together and published. I then now expanded it to what it is today in terms of a containment where Build Your Narrative serves as a media company, where we have it in ways that we're helping people today is through the Narrative Alignment Program, which has become a vehicle for the people to start telling their stories in front of other people in the form of a cohort virtually, and all of it is recorded, in which they get to have access to for later. Now, some people, when they go through to that program, what we really are doing is we're uncovering what's holding them back, what's keeping them from being able to do what they're supposed to do. And I've found that it's all about the core values. Most of people really don't really know what's driving them forward. And through that, I've been able to help other people, like our good friend Loanne, to start publishing her first book and to eventually putting it in ways that where now she was able to go through the whole process from A to Z. And we even helped her launch it the whole process, the whole time. That was a really good success for me. And then had somebody else that had already been established, that really had been given everything already that she needed to. All she really wanted from me was just some guidance around building the structure around it, which is really where we help other people gain clarity as to how do you create the structure to create your own signature program. And so a very good friend of mine, she's out in Carolina, she's a therapist, has now built a massive group of other therapists where she's teaching them on how they can continuously help their clients to the point where they're not burning out as much as they used to. But this is really what Build Your Own Narrative has done, which has allowed other people to gain clarity, to be able to do what they've been trying to do, where I'm just really helping guide them through the framework because of the lessons that I've learned and the ways in which I've been able to continuously evolve. And where today we're continuously serving people through that containment. We're also helping people and services with events. We're also helping people and services with hosting, right? So everything around events, from launching to hosting. And most importantly, something that's also very dear to my heart is ways of giving back. And that is either through sponsorships and or helping to fundraise for nonprofit organizations, which is still a part of who I am.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I know I shared a lot there in the storytelling, but as a one-man army.
So I'm interrupting this episode. I would like to highlight the sponsors that made the celebration of the podcast anniversary possible. Monica's Bookkeeping LLC. She is located in Norwalk, Connecticut, and helps entrepreneurs with their finances. If you need a bookkeeper, don't hesitate to reach out to Monica's Bookkeeping LLC. And if you are looking for a personal brand that is positive, that will impact your life, make sure to reach out to Andy Remy Shawls. Andy Remy Shawls is a merch line based off the personal brand of Andy Charles. It is focused on spreading positive messages in a world that tries to capitalize off negativity and people's insecurities. So if you're looking for clothing that has a message that will inspire you and change your life or other people's lives, make sure to follow my friend Andy at Andy Remy Shawls. The other sponsor of this episode is Loan Jean Baptist. She is an author, speaker, singer, songwriter, and faith-centered coach dedicated to healing, emotional wellness, and personal growth. She's the author of My Night Sky Blue. Loan inspires others to find peace, resilience, and hope. She's helping people heal, grow, and walk boldly in their purpose. That is Loan Jean Baptist. You can find her on Instagram, and I can also send you her information if you're looking for a positive psychology coach. She is someone you need to reach out to. The next sponsor is the Greco Team Real Estate. They serve clients throughout New York and Connecticut. The Greco Team Real Estate is about more than buying and selling property. It's about helping people build the life they envision. If you're looking for a great real estate team, if you're looking for your new home, make sure to reach out for Luisa Greco online on Instagram and reach out for the Greco team on Instagram. They serve New York and Connecticut. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting local businesses. And I'll see you guys. No, that's great. And what has been, it's all great. However, at the same time, there are bumps on the road, things that come as you're growing and building this. What has been one of the challenges that you've seen yourself overcome throughout this process?
That's a great question. I think the biggest thing that I've probably overcame was imposter syndrome. Sometimes I could still wonder if I belong.
In what sense?
So when I first started going to these major events, I'm talking about the very first time I went to a big event. I had the opportunity to meet John Maxwell. I had the opportunity to meet Ed Milet. I had the opportunity to meet a few other big speakers that were in the room, but I didn't feel like I was deserving of it because once I got to the event, I was also able to connect well with other people, and I didn't feel like I was good enough to be surrounded by them because I connected with the event host and he really took a liking upon me, and I had gotten to really just have great conversations. And so I'll tell you the story. There was this one time during the event, and you know how they have these VIP dinners. So I was invited to go to these VIP dinners. I'm talking about all the big guys that were speaking there were gonna be at that VIP dinner. But I had also made connections with other people in the room. And so one of them was a guy named John Ellis, a really good friend of mine. And one of the very powerful people that were in the room, his name is Andrew Shelley. Andrew, I may be butchering your last name, but he's best friends with Tony Robbins, his business partner. And so he was like, hey, we saw each other in the bathroom. We had gotten to see each other passing. We're talking. He's like, dude, are you coming to the dinner? We're all about to be there. Dean Graziosi, which is you may not know him. So Dean is one of Tony Robbins' business partners, and Andrew is one of Dean's very close friends. It's like, yeah, Dean's probably gonna be there. You get a chance to. It's like, yeah, I'll probably come by, but I didn't really feel like I could really belong there. And instead, also because John, my friend now, once we met, he had such an impact on me that left me feeling as if he was eradicating my perception when it came to being a minority in the US. And I mean, he's a white man. He's from one of the most racist towns in America. He himself could tell you where his approach towards me, I was very prejudiced towards him because I felt like he was probably going to be racist towards me. And I was already trying to put my guards, projecting. And the way he treated me with such kindness, Esther, I'm telling you, that completely changed my mind. But all of that while that was happening, I was really just also feeling insecure within myself because I mean, the gentleman who was the host had already invited me to the dinner, and the guys, like I mentioned, like that interaction I had with him in the bathroom when he was like, yo, you coming? All these guys. I said, yeah, I'll probably go. But instead I chose to go hang out with John and other friends because I felt like I was going to be a lot more comfortable there because I didn't feel like I belonged in the other room. But it's funny, yet again, here I was being prejudiced within my mind. God had a way of also trying to help me overcome that because I used to think the people that are wealthy and that have these massive success don't necessarily believe in God until I went in that room, which was seeing the event in itself, because the guys that were going up there that were talking about their stories, they were on their knees praising God, worshiping God on stage instead of talking about how much money they were making. And I was like, wait a minute, who are these people? And some of them were worth 7 figures, 8 figures. I mean, eventually I ended up meeting even a guy that was making 9 figures, but still great people. So once I became comfortable to know that, wait a minute, this is where the faith comes in.
Yeah.
If I already have these foundation, if I know who I am and I have God as my foundation, which is where my faith comes from, if that faith background is not sturdy, then I can feel that I belong anywhere that I come in. And that's probably some of the biggest challenges and obstacles I've had to overcome since I've started this whole process, because otherwise I would be carrying so much with me that would probably hinder me from doing anything to begin with.
Yeah, sometimes we stop ourselves because we think, no, that's for them, or so many limiting beliefs that we can have.
Right.
Especially if you're not from this place, this country, maybe that's something that,
Right.
it's right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, sometimes we're still overcoming a lot of beliefs,
Yeah.
right? Because once you also go through a different threshold, now it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
And that requires you to renew your mind,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Are you still in touch with these people, with this?
some of these guys I am still in touch
Mhm.
with. John is a very great friend of mine, so very much in touch with him. Andrew, we're close on IG.
How do you guys meet?
It all happened at the event.
Mhm.
Right? So if there's one thing I could say that started to really make the impact, is was going to other self
Mm.
development events,
Mhm.
other
Yeah, other
people,
people.
as you know, just like
Mhm.
we met, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Started to form these relationships.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And how long has it been since you started your journey? How many years?
This year will make it officially 5 years when
Mm.
I decided to go register Real
Mm.
Journal Narrative as an LLC. But I could say since I started learning about business, probably now just
Yeah.
shy of 10 years.
Yeah. And what is it? Because you have met so many people that have now come to you to help them build their own narrative.
hmm
And they all have different needs, right?
hmm
What is the common theme that you see amongst them that you say this is something that happens with everyone that wants to start or change paths or stuff? What is something you have seen?
Yeah. Really great question, by the way. This is what happens when you've done this over a year now, right? Big shout out to you for that. One of the biggest things I've seen, most of the people that come to me for help, really what they're asking for is to give themselves permission
Mhm.
to be able to do what they're supposed to do.
Mhm.
They already have the tools, they already know what they're supposed to do, they already have everything within them.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they just don't think they're deserving of it.
Mhm.
A lot of time they may think they're not worthy, right? And there's some of the limiting beliefs as well, where some of the imposter syndrome, and probably the biggest common denominator is someone that I've met really just wanted to have the opportunity to work with someone that was faith-based as well.
Mhm.
So, and I think in that space, a lot of people are doing similar things, and even being faith-based isn't necessarily unique within its own.
Mhm.
But what happened is I'll see, some people will explicitly say, "Oh, I'm glad that I know that you're a believer," right? And
Mhm.
they will want to work with me just as a result. But most of the time, these folks, they already know what they need. They just need to give themselves the permission to start
Yeah.
telling their stories.
Yeah. It's hard to believe yourself sometimes or that you can do it because we're so used to things
hmm
from the past or do things a certain way. So when someone else comes say, actually, you can do this. Yeah,
Yeah, it makes a difference.
it does. So yeah, you do need somebody to help you.
Right. And I've been blessed enough to have gotten so many mentors over the years that have really made an impact on me.
Mhm.
Some in which I'm forever grateful for because they've completely changed the trajectory of my life. And, sometimes we really just need one or two people to just
Mhm.
believe in you even more than you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there can be times when things are tough. I'm talking about like you don't know what the heck you're supposed to do because there's no manual for this, right? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, especially for someone who moved here in teenage years and trying to learn the language. I mean, so many other immigrant stories and others that moved here have shared similar struggles. But what happens is not everyone chooses to do something about it or wanting to share that wisdom. And I
Mhm.
wanted to do that because I said to myself, why hold it to myself?
Yeah.
Because if I can help somebody else instead of just letting them trying to figure it all by themselves. Now, granted, there's a lot of things you probably need to do and figure out by yourself. But if you had someone that could at least let you know if there's fire on that door instead of take a left, why not?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, because I wish sometimes I had that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And when you speak about your mentors, is there, because a lot of people that listen to this maybe want to do something they don't know, right? What is one thing that one of your mentors said to you that you have kept that has helped you kept going?
Ooh.
That could also serve other people listening.
Yeah. So, it's funny because I'm going back to something that I probably had done subconsciously without even realizing. So, one of my mentors, when I was 19 years old, he would constantly, make it a point for me to read. Read, 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 read. But then he would say, Guelory, if you can become a great writer, you will never have to work a day in your life. Now, granted, as much as I'm telling you this, I still have opportunities with becoming an even better writer. But he said to me, if you can pick up a few books every now and then, it will make you become a better writer. And I never realized how much of it was going to lead to this path that I'm on. But as a result, I now have a mini library at home. I kid you not, the other day I was cleaning my room and I was like, oh my God, I need a new bookshelf. There's too many books and I need to continuously figure out ways to read all those books. But what that did, it helped me to become more eloquent in my vocabulary and then also how to become a better writer. And to eventually where I now have been able to publish my own book. And so anybody that's listening, if it happens to be that the Bible, which is, we know is the manual really, and just something that is going to give you an edge more than you realize. If you learn how to write, you'll never work a day in your life. It's not that you'll never work again, but you'll be able to stand out a lot more just because of your ability to communicate with other people.
So true. Reading, right?
Yeah, reading and writing.
I know. I still need to do more reading, especially as a bilingual person.
Right.
I remember also coming when I came, I had to read or watch TV in English to learn. So that's another challenge that, like you said, a lot of immigrants go through. Right. So the fact that you have pushed yourself, that you have surrounded yourself with other people that will mentor you, that will help you, and now you're giving back by offering this wonderful opportunity for people to work with you and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a journey. It's a process, but I'm enjoying every bit of it because every now and then we're having conversations like this with other people. And when you also come with a curiosity mindset, it allows you to learn more. And that's why I'm fascinated to be able to figure out ways to continue to help other people,
Yeah. And your answer when you said when you were 5 years old, you were asking, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? You can say now that you found your purpose.
You know what? Yes. And this is one of those things where I've come to realization just within these past couple years. One, you can have more than one purpose, right? Because I used to be stuck on the idea we needed to have that one purpose in life and that's it. But you and I both know you play different roles in life. You're a sister, you're an aunt, you're a boss lady, and you're also someone that serves her community. But you show up differently in these areas. However, there's these common denominators that help you stand out as a leader and as someone that deeply cares about their community. And so that's the same thing that I've had to embody in my mind to start understanding, wait a minute, I don't necessarily need to fit one box when it means to having a purpose. My purpose today is to be able to help other people gain clarity, build their own narratives so that they can become their best version. But how I'm doing that is also within itself a purposeful vehicle that I'm using to be able to do so. And knowing what that is in a way that is going to be able to continuously impact other people has been really the sentiment of my growth within the past couple of years. Just because when you don't know which direction you want to take, it makes it a lot harder for you to reach a destination. Right. So now I can also talk about different areas and avenues within my life where I also feel very purposeful about, right? I'm also very purposely driven in giving back to other communities, especially to the younger generation, such as helping students in Haiti through the nonprofit that I'm involved in. Right. So, but my existential purpose now, if I was to answer this to my 5-year-old self, was to be able to go through a journey in the quest of going through that process, uncovering what it was becoming, what God is calling me to be, in a way where I can take on the lessons from that journey and be able to pass it on to somebody else as it becoming a purpose for me as well. And so those are some of the things that I've had to say that I can confidently talk about in a way where even 5 years, 10 years from now, it may alter, and that's okay. Right? Because purpose isn't necessarily just a one size fit all, because,
it changes with life, with stages of life. Like you said, we have different things that we do throughout the day, the week, different challenges, scenarios, all of it. Yeah. So I totally agree. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if someone, like now I'm asking you now, but if someone were to ask you, or I want to know, what are the is there like 3 or 5 steps for someone to start building their own narrative? What would those be?
Right. So number one, as cliche as it sounds, is get to know yourself. Get to know whom Esther is. Now, at this point in your life, you probably have already a big idea of who you are, right? Now, granted, there's probably things about you that you're still learning every day. And so one of the ways to do that is documenting it through video forms, writing it down, journaling, and keeping a record of your day-to-day habits, the things in which that you are uncovering with conversations, something that really gives you an epiphany, and that you stacking it all up in a way so that you remember, number one, really.
Yeah.
And secondly, figuring out what are the core values that really motivate you, right? What are the reasons why you want to do what you do, whether it's having this platform for other people, such as helping them to share their stories, but what are the main things that are driving you? Having those in check and seeing how you staying really aligned with them. And what are the metrics and guardrails that are helping you to be able to fulfill those ways of staying true to your core values? And last but not least, being able to use everything you've learned, everything that you're still uncovering, in a way so that you can share it with the world. And that's the part that most people miss, because one thing, number one, what you getting to gather information about yourself, you just basically compiling data. And then you're using that data in a way that can give you, as an analyst, you notice you have all the common denominators. And then within those common denominators, what stories do you want to share, right? And what ways do you want to use those things to be able to help other people? Because what's happening is, and even the concept of narrative, it's like the Christmas tree versus, the American dream, for example. We all have that shared narrative as an American dream, which is to either get ourselves a home, buy our parents a house, or becoming successful. Whatever that is for you, we have that theme. But in ways that you get to distribute it, that's really where you control that whole process of the journey. Because in the middle of you doing what you do, which is where your core values are, now everything that you're doing is funneling, is fueling where you want to distribute that part of you and that best version of yourself in ways that can actually make an impact. Because at the end of the day, the concept of being able to build your own narrative is to be able to make a difference, a positive difference in the world, so that it can really help other people. Because our stories and the things that we go through is not really for us. It's for the people coming after us.
That's so true. Because people will forget. It's so funny because I was thinking of this this week, actually, with everything going on in the world, always, right? Never stopping. But I was thinking, we're going to die. All of us. One day we're dying.
Right.
We don't know how, but it's going to happen. And people won't remember you, but they will remember how you made them feel. if you have left a legacy, like the work you've done, they're going to remember that. And I've been meditating on that this week. How do you want people to remember you?
Right. That is one of the biggest things you could ask yourself, because it's like, who is Esther today and who's Esther in 10, 15, 20 years, and who's Esther when she's not here, right? Because that will help you start being able to pull yourself more out there in a way where your grandkids can go and see all the cool things you did and how you were able to create this thing and build a platform. They can now go to a catalog. I mean, just
YouTube.
the way YouTube. Let's see what my grandma did, right? Let's see how cool she was. Oh my God, she killed it, right? She was able to provide other spaces for other people and to really able to do these things. And now, let me ask you even another question. One, you ask yourself, right? What legacy you want to live in this world? But I'm going to ask you, would you rather have somebody else tell your story, or would you rather be the one that's sharing that story in a way that can allow the people to get to know who you are?
Yeah, well, I'd rather tell it myself. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the whole reason why we build our own narratives, is to be able to take control of ourselves and our stories and be able to do so in our own terms, because somebody else can flip the story and put it out there in a way without any of your control. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
Right. And so, but then even more so cool is like you being able to do it in a manner where you're leaving a legacy behind, like you mentioned, but really for the purposes of helping to impact other people.
Yeah.
That's where the real gem is.
So true. So good.
Yeah.
So you guys, get in touch with Gillary to help you build your own narrative. Whatever thing you have inside, don't let it stay there. So where can people find you, get to know you more, find more information? Let us know.
Yeah. If you want to connect with me, really, I'm pretty much open to connecting, specifically on social media. It's the easiest way to get through me. Instagram, it's my handle, which is Guelory, Guelory. Or you can also find me at the Build Your Own Narrative page, which is, as it spells out, Build Your Own Narrative. But then also I am on YouTube. I start posting a lot more on YouTube now, more long form content coming soon. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, as I mentioned before. I'm even on Facebook, right? But I do have a website, you guys. I mean, I have it there as a way for other people where they can get a chance to book some time one-on-one with me, which is www.buildyourown.com. Did I miss a W?
Well,
but
no, it's three W's.
It's three W's. People know.
www.buildyourown.com.
That's it. It.
That's good. You've given so many good stuff, but is there one last message you would like to tell those that are watching or trying to build their own narratives?
Yeah. And this one, I will preface with saying, now that I have been able to have that opportunity to help other people, is because others have been able to pour into me. And one way was to be able to do so by going to events and spaces that really made me feel like I belong, even when I didn't feel like it. And so what I'll tell to anybody that is trying to build their own narrative is give yourself the permission you deserve to be seen, because your story is not about you. And no matter how difficult you may feel with everything that you might be going through, your presence in a room can impact someone's life you would never even think about. And so don't be afraid to put yourself in rooms and conversations where other people are getting to know you, because your story can impact them.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the biggest things I share, because as someone who has now been able to create other spaces as well, where people can be able to have their opportunities to share their stories, is only because of the result other people have created spaces for me.
Yeah.
And so
It's good.
That would be the biggest thing, yeah.
That's good. Well, thank you so much, Gillary. This was fun. I got to learn a little bit more about you, more in depth. Is that the word?
I think so, yeah.
Of what you do and why you started your journey. So it's very inspiring. Very proud of you. Thank you for sharing it with me and the audience that are listening. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. Don't forget to follow, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your episode. And I will see you guys on the next one. But before I go, I do want to let you guys know that to continue doing these episodes, to bring more people from the community, have decided that I want to give business owners the opportunity to share and highlight their story. And I have created a very special, I guess, call it package that is called Business Owner Spotlight. So apart from what I do with the podcast, which is bringing a lot of businesses, owners, community leaders, all of it, I want to now create that space too for business owners, because like my friend Gillary said, your story, your business is not for you, right? It's for other people to grow and to see. And that will allow me to bring other people here too that need that visibility, that need that exposure to highlight their story even more. So I have created that business opportunity, and I will give more details as the day comes. But as we grow, I just celebrated the first year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. By the time you see this, it's going to be a little later, but I did want to say how Gillary is saying, we grow, we do different things in life, and we transition, and our purpose keeps just growing.
That's it. Absolutely.
Right? That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. And I'm grateful for you. Thank you again for this platform. I love the package that you just put out there. If anyone hasn't signed up yet, I highly recommend. We honestly created this opportunity naturally, but honestly, it definitely came through that same essence of highlighting one other's story. And so therefore, for anyone out there that hasn't gotten a chance to highlight their businesses, connect with Esther, because this is a wonderful opportunity and we're super proud of you and everything that you're doing. This is just the beginning and you've already accomplished so much. So
thank you, Gillary. I appreciate it. And it's great to have people like you mentioned, our friends Brandon, our friend Giovanni. We're all building our own narratives, right?
That's right.
And helping each other out too with events, like participating, encouraging each other on social media, going to events. Unfortunately, we can't go to all the events that are happening, but there are so many. If you're looking to go to events, Gillary has a lot of events. Are you going to do every 30 of the month?
I do have a series right now of hosting an event every 30th of the month for the entire year until next May.
Oh, nice.
In 2027.
Okay.
So we'll see how many more we'll get to do. I'll also be involved in other events happening around. And so definitely, if there's events that you want to attend, I'd love to connect with you. I know you also host events, and which is another thing, which is being able to collaborate, right? So I'm excited for that.
It's good. I went to his last event. It was exactly what I needed, because we are in the middle of the year. And I think I had everything good for the 6 months, and now the end of the year is coming up, like the next 6 months. So being able to be there, have that reminder, it was really useful for me. That event, I really, really enjoyed. And I'm so glad that because you see it online on social media and people post their events and then people don't sign up, right?
Yeah.
But when someone sent you the link, like Brandon was good and he sent me the link and I was like, okay, because I had thought about, I'm going to go. But when he sent it to me, I said, okay, I have to sign up. It's that reminder, right? So if you see events on my page or in Gillary's page, sign up, because they're really helpful. It really inspires you and it helps you to keep going, to just get inspired, give you tools and steps. So
yeah, absolutely. And super glad that you were able to say yes to being there at that event and everything else, because you obviously bring so much into a room. And I think for anyone really listening is, once you start exposing yourself and getting to these spaces, you start developing more
Yeah.
relationships, and I think that's where it goes a long
Yeah.
way. So
It's really good.
super excited for everything coming up. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. So if you're local, visit us on our events, on our page. And if you're not from here and you're watching on YouTube, still, subscribe, watch these videos that are helping you build from the ground up and build your own narrative as well. Right?
That's right.
All right, guys. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye-bye.
This was awesome.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, follow, subscribe, and leave us a review as your feedback continues to help us grow this podcast. If you have any questions or would like to connect, we are on Instagram at From the Ground Up with Esther, or you can email us at esthermoscoso.pod@gmail.com. And as always, thank you to our show sponsor, Mary's Alfajores, delicious sweet treats that melt in your mouth. I will see you on the next episode.